I think it's also important that you become part of the work, meaning this is a journey, it's an experience, we're going somewhere together. I'm showing you our place and I'm trying to let you feel, so when we put all of these coconuts, all this evidence on the ground, and we put these plants on top of them, all in their little basura bags, and we put a light on them, we bring another landscape again that brings you as an outsider to our place, to our memory, because these are our memories of our coastline, That's how I remember being on a boat at night and looking at our coastline, So the coconut tree methodology, I've been working on Bantayan Islands since 2010, really as an artist, and I returned to Bantayan, and I had graduated from the art school in Holland in 2006, and when I really returned to do a work, it was really about how do I make myself useful as an artist. And it started really with using the camera as a tool to document people that I grew up with, working at sea. And it was working with fishermen, especially compressor divers from my area, but also with international seafarers. My father was a sea captain. I grew up surrounded by this world, It wasn't planned, but while I was documenting everybody on ships and on fishing boats, it automatically happened that I used the videos or the documentation, and I would show everybody also at home when we would come home and show their families, and all these conversations would happen, and very important ones, especially at that time where there was really a question of what is happening to our sea. Why are we stopping fishing? Why does everybody want to work as an international seafarer? What is happening to our community where there's such a big dislocation going on because of this gap in income all of a sudden? We're growing up without fathers, and all of these layers came out. And I feel like when that project happened, it never ended. So the coconut is the roots, is all the documentation, all the filming that I had done. And we realized that, just like the images behind me, it's about holding memory and it's about building evidence, And so all of a sudden we realized years later that it's an archive, it's a growing archive that we were working on. And so the roots of the coconut is this accumulation of a material, but not only by myself or my brother, but with people that I started with, and that everyone I engaged with, I try to teach them how to document by themselves, and how would they, but also documentation doesn't have to be camera, it can be collecting, it can be storytelling, it can be anything. And then the body of the coconut is really that process of understanding what is the material, and that's really where questions come about. Another output is art, but there's also cultural evidence, right? That farming, for example, and fishing is culture, right? And so it's really when people themselves look at themselves, when you document yourself, or when you are in the process of really looking at your parents, let's say, as a child of a farmer, and really looking at the work that they're doing and understanding it, where you discover something, right? And that you can be proud of, hopefully. So that's the coconut tree methodology, really. So it's an attempt, to share what happens behind. So it's kind of like, this counterweight here where there's a coconut and there's Manila paper. And that's kind of how the idea started of like, how do you deal with archive? How can I present an archive, How can I show all of the work that goes on that we've been doing since 2010, And we have boxes and cabinets full of Manila paper because, that's how you engage with people. That's how people write down their ideas when you work with others, When you're gathering, it can be video. I work mostly with video or materials. It's also about memory, right? So for example, if you see the coast here behind us, we have the exact same coast that we filmed in different times. So one in 2019 and one just recently in 2026. And you can see that before there was the beach, and you see the coconuts scattered on the beach as the sea level is rising, and every time we have a storm, we have so many coconuts especially, but also houses. You know, when I talk, I'm turning 45 next month, so I myself, looking back at when I was a child and remembering the way that we talk about the coast disappearing is about houses disappearing. Oh yeah, there used to be this many houses before, you know, and it's about moving back of houses or moving away, you know. And another thing happens now that all of a sudden, very quickly, they're building seawalls everywhere, and it's such a hard, fast change of our culture, which is really our connection to the sea, and it's really our fishing culture, right? And if you build that wall, you don't only disconnect, but you're also moving away of people that have always lived on these coastal lines. They used to be, fisher folks used to be nomadic, and at some point, of course, they settled, and that's very recent, you know. And so they don't own the land. And so them now again being moved inland to areas that they don't know, which are more farm areas, is really a kind of erasure of culture, right? And so you also deal with memory. And so archiving is about remembering, and remembering becomes kind of resistance, you know. How then do we use this archive as a way for us to kind of, how do people themselves kind of wake up to what's happening? How do they learn to question, to analyze, and to take action? And I'd like to have rhythm throughout all the works, you know, so that they're connecting. Hey, how can we mimic the sound of the sea? And it was like, oh, we have bamboo growing. Let's cut. Let's, you know, it all happened within a day, and it's like, let's put water. You know, and then Tata came in and he was like, the little shells that we're using for the sound is what he grew up with. It's the batad. His grandmother used to work with them, and his auntie is working with it. So he was like, if we're gonna add the batad, we're going to have that special sound, and it did, you know. So and that's the beauty of being together with other people and working with other people. You know, when you look at the coconuts, that's why I wanted to bring the coconuts, because when you see the coconuts, they are the remnants, they are the remainder of coconut forests, beach forests that we used to have, you know. You know, when you think of islands in paradise and it's coconuts on the coastline, it's all falling, you know, and this whole coastline there are areas that used to be white sand beaches that are now only, you know, the remaining underlayer stones left, you know, rock. Thinking about Batang is saying, back in pre-colonial times, we had no words like climate change, right? But for me, Batang is a way of seeing the signs of climate change. They're warning signs, it's evidence, right? And we are having big evidence of an unbalance, right? So the idea of Batang, I was thinking of, what if we film fishermen that we know as Batang in the sea, you know, kind of being moved by the currents. So that's how we started. So, you know, last year, Tata and me, even Tata diving in, trying to get an image of Renante, which were beautiful, by the way, just holding his breath and diving deep, you know, and just being like flying, you know. But then I got more interested in his face, in him, you know, his body in underwater. And I was thinking, if I could just place him right on the site where all this coastal erosion and all this loss is happening, and we could put him there as Batang, you know, washed up, but just as him, how he normally sits there, you know, waiting for others, or just looking at the sea, or just sitting on the coastline. But then he would be breathing in water, you know. But it's so open for interpretation, all of it, you know. But that's how it formed. I think it's good to kind of understand what it means to be emotionally bound to a place, and it's disappearing, you know, and it's being destroyed. Yeah. They're all connected to each other, right? And that's what the sound does. The sound connects all the works. And that's why we've also spread them around, and I think it's good that you can hear the sound gently or more aggressively in some parts. And you know, when you end up by the nets, it becomes very basic, right? A net bag becomes something else, you know, materials turn into something else. And it can be just that simple, right? You know, it's so interesting. When I went to school 3 years ago for that international forum, and somebody who had worked like higher up in Greenpeace for 20 years, he stood up after our presentations and he was like, you know, for years we used scientists and we used data to let everybody know, and still nothing. We've gone nowhere, right? That's why we need the artists now, because you have to let people experience it, right? Not by going there on a trip as a tourist, maybe, but maybe just the emotion of it, you know? What does it mean, right? I want everyone else to relate to it, because I don't only want it to be my world, I want to welcome everybody, you know? And so it's something that I'm feeling, and it's something I'm experiencing, but I don't want you to be uncomfortable in my world, right? So at the same time, I want you to feel different things. I want you to see the beauty in things. I want, when my friends, when I film them, I want them to be proud of themselves. I don't want them to be embarrassed. I don't want them to be of who they are. I want them to see how proud they should be. I think if we talk about, there's so much overwhelming things happening in the world. Climate change, war, and it kind of makes you feel like helpless, you know, but there's so much we can do. You know, if all of us in our own world, in our own place, do something and reach out to our neighbors and be kind to each other, this world would be different, right? And maybe some people will become, you know, leaders or activists, or who knows, right? Because we're all in this together. And we need to figure this out together. That's the thing, though. Climate change and all these problems are not like, I'm going to sit back and they'll deal with it. No, unfortunately, we're all in this boat together, and this boat is about to sink, you know? Yeah, this island is sinking. I hope people see possibilities, and that we have something that's beautiful, and that we have a choice now. If you're someone that has capacity, use it. You know, don't just earn money so that you can have your big house and multiple cars. Use it to do something. You know, you just need to help your neighbor. You just need to go to your barangay meeting. You just need to be involved. You just need to make sure that if somebody is hungry, see if they're okay. It's a lot.